Hello people, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time on the channel, a special welcome to you. I'd say you check out the rest of my videos. If you like what you see, give them a thumbs up, leave a comment, but more than anything, I'm asking that you subscribe to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about an article that was published by Loop Jamaica, which covers the world's most dangerous countries for LGBT members to travel to. Surprisingly, to me at least, Jamaica was ranked number 18 on that survey, and I wanted to put it out there to my Jamaican subscribers and viewers to ask whether or not they think that was true or false. Number one on the list was actually Nigeria in Africa. Again, I don't know much about Nigeria, so I'm not going to take it as gospel, but who knows, some of my subscribers or viewers may be from Nigeria or may be familiar with the culture of Nigeria to say whether or not they believe that Nigeria is ranked number one most dangerous place for LGBT members to be born, live in, or travel to. Interestingly, on this list, Barbados was ranked number 8 and St. Lucia was also ranked number 12. Turks and Caicos was ranked 45, the Bahamas was ranked 46, and Cayman Island of all places was ranked 53 on this list. Let me know if you guys agree with this list or don't agree with this list. I mean, it seemed like newspapers these days are so desperate to get stories that they just take it from any source and publish it as gospel. I mean, this person, the source was actually a blogger of no established reputation. When I say that, I mean it's not someone renowned. It's not anyone that myself have actually heard of. But it seemed as if the Loop took this blogger's journalistic skill as gospel and say wherever they got their information from, this was fact. And this was actually what the Loop decided to publish. And according to the information that I received, the scale that they used to measure this of 150 countries of the world pretty much included the friendly or non-friendly policy of each country towards members of the LGBTQ group. And on this scale, they used 8 factors, which included legality of same-sex marriages. They also used LGBT workers protection and discrimination against LGBT people, criminalization of violence in each country, and the adoption policies of LGBT people or the group. And they also included living comforts and criminalization of same-sex marriages, and last, I believe they included morality laws. So these are the actual factors that they use. So in order for a country to rank number 1 or rank number 150s, these factors are either being imposed strongly or weakly. So I'm gonna zone in on Jamaica, which was ranked number 18, and they're saying that, I'm just gonna pick out one of these 8 factors, because they're saying that criminalization against violence, Jamaica ranked number 18. That means we're high up there. And I personally don't agree with that, even though it has very little to do with LGBT. I mean, criminalization against violence, that has nothing to do with a particular sexual orientation. That involves everybody in the country. And I'm not saying Jamaica prosecutes every violent crime, but I would think in comparison to the rest of the world, Jamaica does prosecute violent crime highly and often. So I already disagree with that one point that Jamaica, because my interpretation at least is saying Jamaica is low when it comes to prosecuting or arresting people for violent crimes. Criminalization of same-sex relationship. What do I know about that? I just know that Jamaica still uphold the boogering law which they adopted from the United Kingdom. So I believe that same-sex, especially between 2 men in Jamaica, is still a crime. How would you rank that in regards to another 150 countries, putting Jamaica at number 18? I don't know. I've not really heard much people in Jamaica being prosecuted and being sent to prison for same-sex relationship, whether they are just involving with each other or secretly married. Surprisingly to me, in Nigeria, you could get up to 14 years in prison for a same-sex relation, and it could even go as far as you receiving the death penalty under legal statutes in Nigeria. So without even researching that, I thought to myself, if that is a fact, I could see why Nigeria is number one. In the same article, there were some Middle East countries such as Qatar that was mentioned, but we all know that most Islamic stronghold countries sees gays or lesbian or bisexual people as an abomination to the world. LGBTQ workers protection was one that I just mentioned. The thing is, not a lot of Jamaicans get workers protection to begin with, so to just narrow that down on one particular sexual oriented group, I don't know how you would measure that. So I would say I agree with that, but I'm not agreeing with it specifically to LGBTQ group. I just agree with that in Jamaica overall, comparing to the rest of the world and what workers get as workers protection, Jamaica is pretty low where the provision of that is concerned. Another one that was mentioned, that was living comfort. I found that funny. I found it funny because I currently live in Switzerland, and living comfort is a big thing in Switzerland. It's mandated that every person living in Switzerland should reach or attain a certain level of comfort in their life, in their daily livelihood. But where so-called third world countries are concerned, such as Jamaica, that is not really a priority on the Jamaica's government list of priorities. So where LGBTQ people are concerned, Jamaican government could care less as far as your sexual orientation is concerned. So I'm going to throw it out there and says, there are people in Jamaica that's living comfortable and to what I would call a humane comfort, but I wouldn't say it was provided by the government. You know, these are people who work hard to independently achieve that comfort. So again, I would agree with that list because to my knowledge, at least, Jamaica government has never went out of their way to provide living comfort for people. And where the legality of same-sex marriages are concerned and the adoption of LGBTQ policies, that would be something that LGBTQ people or a group in Jamaica would have to lobby to the government in order to get their rights. Because like I say, Jamaica is still governed by a lot of old British laws, especially where the Boogering Act is concerned. Anyway, apart from that list, let me just throw in my personal opinion. Jamaica's culture, the Jamaican culture that I was brought up on, was anti-gay. I remember that I was anti-gay all the way up until I almost exited in my teens. I started seeing gay people in a different light after I moved to the United States of America, because growing up in Jamaica, the culture taught me, you know, to be anti-gay, to be anti-anything that is not heterosexual. When I moved to the United States, I was a bit more educated on sexual orientation of human beings, and after start looking at the biological aspect of it, that's when I personally was convinced that being gay or being bisexual or being trisexual or whatever sexual people are, in most cases, it's not a choice. I know a lot of my Jamaican people are going to come down on me for making that statement, but this is my truth. I'm just telling you that after I moved to the United States of America, not in a classroom, you know, just by mingling in the society of the United States of America, I somehow was educated and I started seeing gay people in a different light. Most people did not choose to be gay, they were just born gay. This statement I have already made on my channel, and I got a few lashbacks saying it's not so or it's not so. Here's the thing. I was born with this complexion. I was born black. I was born a Negro. I was born in the island of Jamaica. I was born male. I can't change that fact. I'll never be white. I'll never be a female. I'll never be shorter than 6 feet. You know, those are facts. And while I was learning about most gay people or most lesbians or bisexual people, it was pretty much pointed out to me in that sense. You know, I actually interviewed an homosexual once and asked him, why were you an homosexual? And I remember him giving it to me in details that he has tried to be heterosexual for the sake of his parents' approval, and it was the most disgusting, most sickening thing for him to lay with a female. Even though I was like still of my Jamaican mentality, I was in America where gays are protected, so I couldn't put any form of violence or any real aggression towards this person's view. And at the same time, I was doing a research as a young writer, so it was just information for me. And if you're ambitioning yourself to be a writer, to write and publish the truth, you can't expect to write and publish only what you believe in. You have to take people's testimonies and people's personal confession as their gospel. So I had no other choice than to actually accept that person's explanation to him being gay as gospel. So, considering that I presently don't live in Jamaica, and considering that I don't live in the Bahamas, Cayman Island, Turks and Caicos, St. Lucia, I would like my Caribbean people whose countries name has appeared among the 150 countries to put in your comments and let me know what the temperature is like regarding members of the LGBTQ. Let me know if it's a fact. Let me know if it's true or false that these regions are indeed dangerous for LGBTQ members to travel to. So yeah, people, I don't want to make this too much of a rambling. The real question at the end of the day is, let me know, is it true or false? Also, let me know how you feel about members of the LGBTQ group. Let me know if you think it's right for people to live like that. Let me know if you believe that to each their own, like that's my belief, to each their own, especially when it comes to one's sexual orientation or choice. Or let me know if you believe that it's an abomination to the Lord and to the world and all that early information that was fed to me when I was a child growing up. But before I go, people, let me big up some people.
Big up yourself to the maximum.
First person I want to big up is my subscriber by the name of Karen Lichtenberg. Karen, you know exactly why I'm bigging you up. I also want to big up one of my most big up subscriber, Light, big up yourself. And last but not least, I want to big up a channel by the name of Creative Pragmatic for always participating with the channel. Big up yourself.
Big up yourself to the maximum.
And that's pretty much it for now, people. Like I always say on my channel, I accept agreement and disagreement. I accept thumbs up and thumbs down because at the end of the day, each one teach one. Until next time, people. Peace.